Hi guys, welcome back to another timeless reading. This is recorded on Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. So the moon has been very intense for myself. I know some of you posted our like on the Facebook page, which thank you so much for 13,000 followers. Like that's amazing. Like I've been doing this for years, and it's just like, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't share because it's embarrassing, or my family wouldn't approve, or they're afraid that I would get to the point that I would not have time for them. So it's just like, it's amazing to see that, the page has grown. But like one thing, like negative comments won't be tolerated. You're going to be immediately blocked and deleted. But talking about the full moon, it's like, talking about this, I've been having a lot of feelings of anxiety. But it's just like something that's always been a part of my nature, unfortunately, just because of the way that I grew up and stuff like that, and the things that have happened with Shane passing and stuff like that. Like, my son reminds me that, like, literally just now, like, I signed on to my job, and then I sat there and I was, like, gathering all the laundry and bringing it upstairs to, like, to sort it out between all three of us. And my son's like, don't forget to thank God. And literally I was downstairs. I'm like, thank you, Lord, for giving us the means to have like a full-size washer and dryer. Like, I know a lot of people like to be matchy, but with me, I'm like, you know what? It ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, I bought this off of Marketplace, the dryer, and I tried to buy a washer for the longest time, but it's just like it never worked out, which is fine. But, I sat there and the dryer was like $100. And it was someone my mom knew, and honestly, it works like a charm. It's an old school washer or dryer, and I'm like, you know what? Exactly like I said, they don't make them like they used to. So I'm just like, as long as you're working and I can get it fixed, Ron's Appliances right up the road, he can come over and fix it. It ain't going nowhere. Watch me say this and something happened. But you know what I mean? It's just like, when you're grateful for the things that are already pre-existing in your life that sometimes we overlook and take for granted, you know what I mean? It's just like, I remember when me and Shane and the kids were living at the loft, and I didn't mind going to do the laundry. It's like, it was part of being a partner, you know what I mean? It's like making sure that we all had clean clothes. And it's just like, I didn't mind that, but I'm grateful to be able to sit there, and especially right now, because we literally had no spring. It's like we went straight into summer. It's going to be like almost 30, so like, what is that, 82 in Fahrenheit? And it's just like, you know what I mean? It's like going from like 0 on the weekend, -1, -2, and it's like now, so that's like 32 your temperature in Fahrenheit. But crazy. But last night I'm sitting there trying to sleep, and I could just feel like something like waking me up, like that presence. So I wake up and it's the moon literally shining on me, and this has happened before, so it's just like, you know what I mean, seeing it set, and it's like taking amazing pictures, you know what I mean, it's just beautiful. So getting into the cards, we have the Chariot. So you're in charge of this life. Like, honestly, like, I will be like a lot of people, like, and I just mentioned Facebook a lot. That's where I get a lot of the more of interaction with everybody. You know what I mean? I'm not diminishing anyone else. It's just that's where I get a lot of, like, back and forth, so it's just like, a lot of people are saying when. It's like, we're in charge of our life as we move forward. I'm getting frustrated. Like, you know what I mean? I mentioned that hydro, like, no matter what I do, it's always like my consumption was less last month than the month prior. And it's just like, oh, you owe more. And it's like, that doesn't make sense. You're being punished for being, like electric savvy, or your usage being savvy. Like, I'm not going to sit there and leave all the lights on in the house if I don't need to. You know what I mean? I've always been that way. But, it is what it is. But it's like, I did feel defeated. Honestly, I did feel defeated. And I'm just like, I know I didn't sleep that much this weekend. Like, sitting there and putting the rational thought on it. It's like, you didn't sleep this much this weekend. So caught up on my sleep. I take the Energy C powder. I just put a little bit of sprinkle in my water. I drink a lot of water. So I put a flavor shot. I don't drink pop. And then I put the Energy C in there, and I put collagen. And I drink, I don't know how many tumblers, especially at my job because I'm constantly talking, a day. So it's just like sitting there. I make moon water, so been utilizing that all this week. And so 3 days before, during, and after, you could sit there and, put your... I got transparent jars from the dollar store, and I put them on my windowsill, and you drink the water. But it was just pretty cool just to see that, though. Just like the moon waking me up, I was just like, oh. But a lot of people are like, when? And I get it, like, we're getting frustrated. I get it. It's the climate that we're in. You know what I mean? But it's just like, even though we're having a bad day, it doesn't mean it's a bad life. Got the Empress. So we're showing, like, there's this rebirth going on in our life. This is why we're feeling, this frustration. Especially when we're putting our efforts in. We're doing everything we can to move forward. And, it's just like, I even mentioned that. It's like, I'm not seeing my efforts being rewarded, in some sort of way. Some tangible way. But I do see it, like, again, thank you to all the new followers and the people that, like, I see you. I don't know if you guys want me to call you out or not, but, if you do and you see this on Facebook, let me know. I have no problem, shouting you out and thanking you for always engaging and being there. And, it's like, it means a lot to see, like, to see those familiar faces every single day on I post multiple times a day. So it's like, I am thankful, even when I'm, crazy busy with life, and I share things that speak to my heart. I'm not just posting it for engagement. I'm posting it because it speaks to my heart and my soul. And I'm like, maybe someone needs to hear this right now, So, Empress, change and transformation, ruler by Venus, you're giving with love, being patient. That is not my strong suit. That is something I'm working on. But being patient. It says, do you have kids? And I said, yes. She goes, you must be very patient with them. I'm like, no, I need to be more patient with my children, I think. But, what can you do? Having children don't come with a handbook. 3 of Wands. This is the universe having your back as you go forward. I love the fact it's like this circular, like sun motion. Like, we keep getting the sun from previous timeless readings, if you've seen them. But you see all the ships in the water. You know what I mean? It's just like your ship is about to come in. He's standing on a mountain, or they're standing on a mountain overlooking the water. And this is grounding herself in her emotions. We got the 6 of Swords. I believe it was like 2 or 3 timeless readings back. And it's just like, sometimes our emotions take, it's easy for me to get carried away, So with my emotions, because I get in my head, and especially the situations I've been in my life. Just let me move this back 1 second. Pulling on the 4 of Wands there. So, this is celebrations in life. We're celebrating the end of a school year for the kids. They're homeschooled. They start in August 1st. So it's just like, and they're doing it on the weekend as well. Like, like this has been, I guess maturity coming in. I'm not sure. Well, I know one reason why, but I'm not going to mention that. But, wow, 4 of Wands. And we got the Emperor. So someone may be moving here. I feel like offer. So this could be like you're putting in an offer for a home, or you're offered an opportunity to change homes, So maybe you live like in an apartment and you have like a 1 bedroom or a 2 bedroom. And you're offered like a bigger, something that's more suitable, 3 bedroom, something that's more suitable to your family. Like with us, we moved from a so 3 weeks time. So we have the Lovers in here. This is our middle card. So I usually pull 6 cards. So you know what I mean? I feel like this could be for some of you love coming in. This is maybe while you're being moved. You know what I mean? This could be the offer being moved. A lot of people are pulling that, like a love connection, twin flame and stuff like that. If you see the guardian angel numbers coming in, there's a lot of twin flame messages near the bottom. But we got the Page of Pentacles, 3 weeks time. So again, this could be financial news that comes in that allows you to sit there and bring balance back into your life. When we get the Lovers, we get Gemini. So it's the twins, so twin flame. But the twins, where it's just like that yin and yang, bringing balance back into our life. Because sometimes, you know what I mean? It's just like it does really disturb the peace when, things aren't in kind of like a functioning order, but I feel like it would always something like this, to be honest. Temperance. We were just talking about this. grounding ourselves in our emotions. I love what are they called? Not, are they daffodils? No, they're not daffodils. Ugh, I can't remember the name of them. I love them though. They're growing on my windowsill right now. But it's leading you to the sun. So I know, like, I was talking about myself, where it's just like, I like to use myself as an example, or my best friend Laura, her kind of situations, you know what I mean, where it's just like, it's relatable, but it's just like, we got the Ten of Swords here, and it's like feeling defeated, like our efforts, like, we were talking about this, and I feel like this is the change of that. I feel like this is where they're saying, like, your efforts will be matched. You know what I mean? It's just like right now it doesn't look like that, but it's like void of course. You know what I mean? Like with myself, it's like being smarter about how many hours I work, especially because I live in Canada. So there's, I was going to say high holiday coming up. We just finished one on Monday. So Sunday evening until Monday, it was a day of forgiveness. So this is a day of second chances. It's the second Passover. So if you were not able to do Passover, or if you made a mistake, because Passover is all about mistakes, I remember that time last year, my mother was going through her cancer surgery, and I see conflicting stories that potatoes are neutral. There's no like actual legitimate thing that I say they're not allowed. Like I see, yes they are, yes, no they're not. So you know what I mean? It's like back and forth with it. But I had a Pringles, but I didn't realize that they add things to make a paste, and then they make the chip. So I was like, oh, gotta do the second one. But this rabbi I was following, and this is where I don't agree with everything he says. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I don't know. I won't know until I'm supposed to know. But it's just like, he was talking about, second chances, and, forgiving ourselves, forgiving our loved ones, forgiving whoever, you know what I mean? It's second chance. That's not where I was going with that, but I can't remember. I had a brain fart. But, I feel like it's feeling defeated. And I feel like, on those defeated days, it's like, okay, maybe I need some more sleep. Maybe I need more water. Maybe, the Energy C package, I think, where were they? Walmart, I believe is, oh, his ball just went in the water. I'll get it, Sunny. Maybe, I think it's in the vitamin area. Everybody's different, but it's, you get like a pack of, I think it's 30. Some people pour the whole powder in the water. I don't. I sit there and sprinkle it in my water, because it kicks in like instantly. Not instantly, but within like 20 minutes. So if I had coffee that day, you know what I mean? Try to not do that, but it does give you that boost you need, with myself, because especially now the kids are done school for the year. It's like gardening and, you know what I mean? Keeping that, getting, decluttering and all that good stuff, so it's just like, not and making the summer break fun at the same time, but also, with us, it's like we live in a place where they do inspections, so it's like getting ready for that, in the fall. But it's just like, just dusting the things we're supposed to dust, or just for the sake of my brain, cleaning. So the last two cards I want to pull is the Hermit. Light coming to a situation, or Spirit kind of shining the light on a situation. Maybe you're getting vivid dreams. I know I had a vivid dream about Shane. If he would have, they showed me before, like, if he would have made it through, had stents in his heart, like his uncles, that we found out after he passed away. But, two of his uncles have stents in their heart, and it's just like, making it through. But in the dream, it's like it's still taking a toll on his heart. You know what I mean? That, like, so they showed me way back when, like, when we were living up north more. I think it was like 2019 or 2020, around there, when I started getting more and more vivid dreams, showing that he would eventually have passed away. You know what I mean? So he wasn't meant to have a long life, unfortunately, which, in my eyes, I'm like, how lucky am I that I had him for 10 years? How lucky am I that he was the father of my kids? You know what I mean? Was it perfect? Nobody's relationship is perfect. But you know what I mean? When it was good, it was great. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to take any away from that. That my biggest thing this year is releasing the anger of all of it. I'm more angry that he's not here. It's not that I'm angry at him per se. It's just angry at the situation, and it's just like releasing that because it ain't gonna fix anything. As much as I would love to sit there and have him back, I was actually watching the Matthew Good Band, and I think it was Apparitions or one of his songs where they actually pay to have him reincarnated. Like, what was the first one? He died from a motorcycle accident. The second one was from a theme park accident, and he's like, you know what I mean? And it's just like they sit there and they pay for him to come back. You know what I mean? But it's like, is it still the same person? You know what I mean? Because if it's not, it's like, I'd rather wait. Wait till we're reunited again, with no harm to none, whenever that shall be. You know what I mean? But the Ace of Cups, and I feel like this is like your efforts. Like with myself, I know summer is always busy. People are off. So readings are going great. And, the hours they're there for work, and I could pick. That's one thing I love about my job is that I could sit there and I could, pick up hours. You know what I mean? I sit there, and it's like if I want to work, I look on there's hours, pick them up, boom. Bob's your uncle. I can work hours. So, not going to complain about that. So, it's just like I'll get to where I feel comfortable again. And just feeling a little uncomfortable. And who likes feeling uncomfortable? Nobody. But I feel like that's what the Ten of Swords was about here. Because this is very positive. Very, very positive. And I feel like it's just like, where they're showing temperance. There's a balance. Like, that's where they're showing. We grow in these situations, unfortunately. We have to go through the uncomfortable to learn lessons. But I feel like that's why they're showing this after all these cards. And it's, temperance, the Hierophant. This is shining the light on this situation. You feel defeated. This is very much the Ten of Wands, in a lot of ways. It's just like, we feel defeated. We feel like, I'm done. You know what I mean? And it's just like, get a good night's sleep. Maybe get 2 good nights of sleep, where you're pushing yourself. It's just like, getting up early, like myself, because I get off at 2 in the morning, and then it's like having to get up at like 7 in the morning to go do something. You know what I mean? And then getting up early again to go do something. It's like, it weighs on you. You're not getting enough sleep, so you're crabby and you're uncomfortable, and, it's just, a lot weighs on you. So it's just, sit there and get the rest you need. If you need some help, there's Energy C. I'm not a fan of energy drinks, but it's just like, sit there, drink your water, be kind to yourself, do the things that you're drawn to. I'm just making suggestions, Some things will resonate with you. Some things will be like, not for me, which is totally fine. But, they're saying maybe it's time for a reading. You don't have to go to anyone for a reading. You can get yourself a tarot deck, go on Astrology Answers, tarot deck meeting. They have the upright and reverse meeting. Get a pen and paper, see if Spirit tries to communicate you with it in any way, or you just like started hearing things. Let's just start writing it down. Let's see where it takes you. But it's just like, maybe it's time for a reading. It's time for a purge, I feel like. It's just like we just need to unload. I feel like we're carrying a lot on our chest, so maybe emotional baggage is like we need to unload it. So get out there and enjoy the sunshine, especially if you live in Atlantic Canada, because this season only lasts for so long. I know we complain about when it's heat waves, but it's just like, dang, it's like we live in the perpetual cold for 6 months of the year, 7 months practically, and then it's like, we're getting barbecued alive in July, in June 22nd until like mid-August. It's like barbecue season where you're getting fried. So it's like, get out in the early morning and enjoy it, or go out when the sun, you can hide behind like a building or under the trees or something and enjoy the breeze, But be kind to yourself. I hope you guys enjoyed this timeless reading. May the universe bless you good. We'll see you for the next time.